I am a professional chef and I love my microwave. Most of us think of it just as a box to reheat food, maybe make popcorn, but it can do a lot more than that. There are so many reasons why all professional kitchens have a microwave, so let's talk about them. My favorite button, and perhaps the most powerful button on the microwave, is the power button. The power button is similar to adjusting the heat on your stovetop. By adjusting the power level, it doesn't reduce the output of the power, it simply controls how many times the microwave comes on and off. If I set the microwave at 50% power for 1 minute, then the microwave will be on for 30 seconds and off for 30 seconds at various intervals. Lowering the power can help you cook more gently and much more evenly. And I'm going to demo that using my favorite mug cake recipe. It's basically dumping all of your ingredients in the cup, stirring it together, water and oil to keep everything nice and moist. And the fact that I can make this cake in the microwave in less than 5 minutes blows my mind every single time. The batter is ready, and now I'm going to put it in the microwave. 3, 0, 0, and then power level, I go 50% power. It's usually 10%, 20%, 30%. That's how it works, and then start. While that's happening, let's talk about the science real quick. There is a thing in the microwave called a magnetron. A magnetron converts electricity into electromagnetic waves, or microwaves. They excite all of the molecules in your food, and because it's vibrating at such high frequency, it creates a lot of friction, which generates heat, which then cooks your food. It is done, and it smells very good. Just like how you would rest a steak when you grill it and you give it time to carry over cook, the same rule applies to microwaves. It's beautiful. So my mug cake is ready, and there's whipped cream. It looks cute. This was such a good decision. Oh my God. Look, the crumb of the cake is like spongy. It's dark. There's a little bit of whipped cream that's melting on there. Cooking it at 50% power really helped me get a nice even cook. You could see when I dug in, like it's evenly cooked from edge to center. So for ultra precise cooking, use the power button. It is the most underrated button on your microwave. Another great use for the microwave is when you want a crispy garnish. For instance, you want crispy shallots on top, maybe it's like golden garlic chips on top, but you don't want a lot of it. That's when the microwave comes into its own by acting as a mini fryer, so you can do really small quantities of things. You start by submerging your ingredient of choice, in this case shallots, in the oil. As the oil heats up, it transfers the heat to the shallots. The steam from the shallots will escape, and it will continue to become golden brown and crispy in the hot oil. I put the shallots and oil in 3 minutes at full power. For the shallots to fry, the oil has to be at a certain temperature, and it's usually between 325 and 350. So the microwave helps get to that precise temperature. You can see the change in the shallots just from 3 minutes of being in the microwave. They've really reduced in size. A lot of moisture has evaporated. You can see a little bit of color. They're about to start cooking and becoming golden brown and crisp. At this stage, I want to have some control over the cook. I'm going to go in shorter time intervals, so I'm going to probably put it for like a minute. What a dramatic difference in that 1 minute. So many more of the shallots are brown. This is very close to the color that we're looking for. The sugars in the shallots are caramelizing, essentially. Most of the shallots here are perfectly brown, but I see some bits that are a bit pale, so I'll pop this back in for like 30 seconds. So in under 5 minutes, I have lovely golden brown shallots. I'm going to hit it lightly with a bit of salt just to season them. And you can really see they're golden brown and crunchy and crispy because all of the moisture was driven out as they were cooked in the microwave, and then you end up with these delicate little wisps of shallots. So in under 5 minutes, proof right here that your microwave can be a mini fryer. Another fun use for the microwave is being able to toast small quantities of nuts. And today I have almonds to demo how cool it is. The thing about an almond is it contains a lot of natural oil. And the good thing about oils or fats is they perform really well in the microwave, and as they get heated up, the heat transfers very effectively, toasting the almond from the inside out. This works really well for any other nuts such as cashews, walnuts, macadamia nuts. I have my almonds on a relatively flat plate in a single layer so that the heat conducts evenly. And I'm gonna put this in the microwave for maybe 4 minutes at full power, and we'll break one open and see what happens. A very common way for most people to toast nuts would be on the stove top. That works, but it isn't as effective as using an oven or a microwave, for instance. On the stove top, the nuts usually only toast on the outside, and the inside often remains raw. Whereas when you're using an oven or microwave, the heat penetrates from the inside out, and the nuts are evenly cooked. So the almonds have been in there for 4 minutes and they smell really toasty. To test if they're done, I'm gonna break one open. And here's one that's still pretty creamy and pale inside, so I think it needs a little bit more time. I'm going to give it a stir just to redistribute and make sure everything is evenly cooked. The food that's often on the outer edges of the plate will get cooked more than the ones on the inside. I added another 30 seconds to the cook time, and these almonds are now perfectly toasted. This is the almond that was toasted for just 4 minutes, and this was an additional 30 seconds after being stirred. Oh, in under 5 minutes in the microwave, perfectly toasted nuts. It may sound a bit counterintuitive, but the microwave is also good for rehydrating. Brown sugar is very susceptible to getting hard, and the microwave can bring it right back to life. Right here, I have some brown sugar, and you can see that it doesn't really yield to pressure. I have my bowl, and I'm just gonna do a little bit of the brown sugar, and I have a square of wet paper towel. So it's not sopping wet, but it is quite damp. This part is important. Place a piece of plastic wrap on top so that the steam generated from the paper towel is trapped inside the bowl, and that's what helps rehydrate the brown sugar. So I'm going to put this in the microwave for 30 seconds at full power. As it heats up in the microwave, all of the water molecules in that wet paper towel are being agitated, and it's being converted into steam, which is then being trapped by the plastic wrap. So you can see actually the steam that was created and is trapped under the plastic wrap, which is a great sign. Under plastic wrap with steam, always unwrap away from you. The sugar has been rehydrated thanks to that wet paper towel, but you could do the same with a slice of apple or a slice of bread as well. Without the microwave, this would have taken probably a few hours, if not overnight, if I put like a slice of apple or bread or paper towel. But in the microwave, it was simply a matter of 30 seconds. Another great use for the microwave is to make sauces, particularly custards, in a very easy, hands-off way. A custard, like the one we're making today, is a kind of emulsion. An emulsion is essentially taking two ingredients that may not want to always be together, like fat and water, and forcing them to stay together. Today I'm making a crème anglaise. A crème anglaise is a sort of thin pouring custard, which is usually used as a finishing sauce in desserts. To start, I'm going to pour my milk, and then I have sugar and cornstarch, a little bit of salt. I'll whisk this to make sure that all the cornstarch is dissolved. I'm going to put it in the microwave. With this step, you're essentially kind of dissolving the sugar and activating the cornstarch. This is a large volume of milk, so I'm going to do 4 minutes, regular power, at full power. The milk is getting hot, and the sugar is going to dissolve, and the cornstarch is going to get activated. You can use this technique to make similar custards, such as a hollandaise, for instance, or even a chocolate or vanilla pudding. If I was doing this on the stovetop, I would be adjusting the heat a little bit. I would be whisking constantly to make sure nothing is burning or catching. But with the microwave, I'm just standing here and talking to you. So after 4 minutes in the microwave, it's steaming. There's like a thin skin on top. And this is an important step when you are making a custard in the microwave, is to go in and whisk periodically. Nowhere as much as you would need to on a stovetop. I can see that the sugar is completely dissolved, but it hasn't quite thickened yet, and the cornstarch hasn't been activated. So I'm going to put it back for 2 minutes at full power. Now that the sauce is thickened to the texture I want, I'm going to add my egg yolks. I'm whisking the egg yolks in just to combine and making sure it's well incorporated. Custards rely on gentle heat to cook and prevent the eggs from overcooking or curdling. So by reducing the power level in the microwave, I'm going to ensure that the custard is silky. Power button is really your best friend. I'm really looking to just sort of pasteurize and very lightly cook the egg yolks, so I might just do 45 seconds at 50% power. That's the first 45 seconds. I'm going to give this a light whisk. It's very close to being done, and you can see it looks very smooth. So I'll put it back in for about 30 additional seconds. This looks very good. It has thickened to the right texture. For how little I had to whisk, this is incredibly smooth. And at this stage is when I add my vanilla. That's it. That's the custard. That's a very impressive custard coming out of a microwave. Custards are often thought of as being finicky and very temperature sensitive, which they are, but doing it in the microwave makes this extremely easy and very hands-off. You're doing a great job. I know a lot of us cook bacon in the microwave, so it's not particularly new or a secret, but I think the reason so many of us do use the microwave to cook bacon is it makes a lot less mess than cooking the bacon on the stovetop, and it recreates the same texture as oven-cooked bacon in that it is crispy and evenly cooked, but in far less time. The way that I do it is line the plate with paper towel, lay the bacon across the surface, leaving a little bit of space between, and then I'm going to cover it with another paper towel and then microwave it for about 4 minutes. The paper towel on the bottom is going to absorb grease, and the paper towel on top is going to prevent the splatters from going everywhere. I'm going to cook this at full power. Pretty soon you can start to hear a little bit of crackle pop in there because fat conducts heat so well that it starts cooking very rapidly. Something to note about cooking in the microwave, whether it's baking or cooking protein, is things may not always brown as they would in an oven because the oven is dry heat and the microwave, the steam is trapped within the cavity, but the food will still be cooked and the proteins, as in the case of the bacon, will still denature just as they would on the stovetop or in the oven. And by denature, I just mean that the protein molecules in the food are broken down and realigned because of heat that's applied to them. 4 minutes in, and that's the finished bacon. And when you pick up a rasher, it's very crispy. You can see that it's perfectly cooked. All of the fat is perfectly rendered. On a stovetop, the rashers cook not as evenly, so you get different textures. So I would say that the microwave is great if you like crispy bacon. It's very crunchy. While a lot of us know that we can make bacon, you can also poach eggs in the microwave. I think the microwave is a great tool for poaching eggs, especially if you're cooking just 1 or 2 eggs. So to poach my egg, I'm actually going to heat about a 1/4 cup of water in the microwave first. The water is steaming hot. You can see the steam coming out. So what I'm going to do is crack my egg into that hot water. This is an important step when you're poaching eggs. Eggs have a thin membrane, so you have to pierce them just so it doesn't burst in the microwave. You're piercing just the white, not the yolk, really. After you pierce it a couple times, I'm gonna cover it with plastic wrap. Similar to the brown sugar, you want to trap the steam in there. I like to use lower power just so that the eggs cook more evenly, because poached eggs, you want them to be a little bit runny in the center. So cooking it at medium power at about 50% really helps ensure a good result. The eggs are cooking in much the same way as the bacon is, in that the proteins are reacting to heat and denaturing, but here the eggs are steaming. They're cooked because of the steam trapped by the plastic wrap. So slightly less than a minute at 50% power, and I can see the whites look opaque and there's a lot of steam built up on the surface. The eggs have to sit for like another 45 seconds just to continue cooking. The residual steam will finish the process. Now I'm going to remove the plastic wrap away from me. Just gently fish your egg out, and then I'm going to transfer it onto a paper towel. I'm going to season the eggs with a little bit of salt and pepper as well. So that's breakfast. 2 different proteins, bacon and poached eggs, all made in the microwave. So I encourage all of you to look at the microwave as more than just a tool to reheat food, and think of it as a valuable addition to your cooking equipment. Nice work, microwave. We did good together today.